Hey, you, friends, family, and strangers. All heck is fixing to break loose. Look at the sky. Dark as dark can be for about 5:30 in the afternoon. You and I, right now, are expecting a storm. No greater reason is there than that to whip out the camera. So, get your rain poncho, figure out where your tornado shelter is, and gather your things. Let's do it.
You're a loser.
The crew that was out here working all day have tucked tail and ran for cover. You should be able to see and notice the shower wall. That is the literal start of the downpour. If you were standing on the ground right over there behind that building, you could feel a night and day difference. And then that dark cloud would roll overhead and you would instantly be taking a shower. I went to the grocery store just a few moments ago, barely made it back into the apartment before that started. And speaking of showers, the guy who rang out my groceries, the cashier, I really hope he goes outside, preferably with a bar of soap right now, because he smelled like smega cheese mixed with cat pee, and I'm telling you, it was rough. For a second I'm like, did I skip the pits in the shower? Like, what happened? Right before you got here today, those two pieces of sheathing down there were way up here on the roof, and a large gust of wind came and they became airborne and fell right down there. My first thought was, damn, I wish I'd have got that on film. You know, film that I put in my digital camera that you have to go to the store and purchase. A reel of film, you get it. But the fine folks at the Weather Service are predicting here in my vicinity, in just a few mementos, inch size hail and 60 mph gust of wind. It's going to be windier than a Michael Jackson video out here. I might as well go ahead and point this camera right into my neighbor's window while I can, because doing this in about a month or so will be severely frowned upon. Well, it failed to crack off as predicted. A lot of lightning though, a lot of good rain. I'm not complaining. I mean, it would have been cool to get a video of this building getting ripped apart, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. I wonder what this building cost to have made. The land was X amount of dollars. The material, the time that the workers charged, the per hour and all that. Whew, I can only imagine. I wonder if the owner had to put up insurance or what, or if that's something the company provides. The building company, I have no idea. Speaking of things coming to pass, I am now 39 years old. 39. I feel like I am like barely getting by because I'm not 40 yet. It's like when you see something that's like $1.99, you're like, cool, it's not even $2. That's how I feel. I'm not even $4. I'm $3.99 still. Whoa, the wind's blowing the door open. So, I'm $3.99. I'm still barely getting by. I'm still affordable, is what I'm trying to say. So people ask me, in these late 30 years, every time I have a birthday, everyone asks, do you feel any older? And the answer is, whether you believe it or not, the honest answer is no. I do not feel older. I don't feel older physically or like mentally. I do feel like too many people are passing away. That includes a lot of people in my own family, relatives. I don't really have family, but I do have relatives that I hear about. A lot of step relatives or former in-laws and all these things. So many of us are leaving, passing away, or dying. I don't know. I'm assuming something happens on the other side because, listen to this. This cup, this glass, and the ice, and the elements that make that soda, and the hand that was just holding it, and the vocal cords that's projecting sound into the device, and the device as well, all of that is made of matter. And I believe that there has to be a God because matter cannot come from nothing. That would be impossible. So when we die, it seems to me like there's a good chance something happens. Unless whoever created all of matter just created the potentiality as well for us to have a conscious. The very electricity in our brain that gives us the theory of a consciousness, even that itself is made of matter. So, if the creator of matter set that up for no reason, to me that's harder to believe than, I don't know, whatever the popular conspiracy theories or religious theories are out there. The hardest religion for me to believe in would be atheism. But I don't believe any one group has it all figured out. I think saying that you have God figured out makes you sound like a big fucking moron. Because we're talking about God. Hello? So, I'm a big fan of the Bible. I think it's a great book of history, a great book of advice. Part of me feels like it's also a great book of premonition or dreams and stuff, like Moses wrote a lot of the Old Testament books and claimed that God told him how the earth was formed and all this and how there was no such thing as a human being until one day there was and all that. I'm proud to say that I wasn't there, so therefore I don't need to know if it's true or not. I just don't. But I feel like the stuff in the Bible about Jesus is probably pretty darn accurate. That was recently, only 2,000 years ago. Jesus had scribes, people that were writing down everything they saw and heard. Several scribes have the same account. It's so much more convincing. Do I believe Jesus was born of a virgin? My gut instinct says I think so, probably. But at the same time, I'm totally comfortable if not. If that was something Mary thought and said and taught her son and stuff like that. But it seems like it happened. You know what I mean? either that hardcore upbringing of mine is so impenetrable that it feels like it happened, or the story just makes a lot of sense in a well-rounded way and it kind of feels like it happened. I myself have experienced things that I feel could only have been from God. So that's part of the human condition. We feel things that we question and wonder, and we get strong feelings about where they might have come from. And I could tell you what the Bible says, or I could tell you how it reads. I could read it to you, or I could tell you what it says. And I don't think you should listen to anybody who tells you what the Bible says, because they're literally just speaking for themselves and hoping that you go along with it. But if you want to hear someone read Scripture, there's no denying that people read the Bible in a way that works. People read the Bible in different ways in different times of their life. My favorite example of that is if you're a parent, you will look at Scripture so much differently than you ever did before you were a parent. We hear that a lot. So could it take on different meanings? Maybe it's supposed to. That is blueberry or blackberry Dr. Pepper. What's it called? Let me find one here. Yeah. They're in the back. Check this out. Blackberry Dr. Pepper. I'm here to tell you. Delicious. Delicious. And I should know because I slammed 2 of them in about a 20-minute window because they are delicious. But anyways, friends, there's been a lot of death in not really my life, but just there's been a lot of death around me this year already. And it's freaky. It's a freaky thing. And then here today, I turned 20. I turned 39. It's strange to say, but it's like, to me, it's still bizarre that it's not 19 something anymore. You know, when I was a kid, I used to always think it would always be 1990 something. I never thought we can't use 19 anymore. It's 2020 something. And now it's 2025. To me, that's very weird to say. Me being 39 is not weird, but the fact that it's just so far ahead in the future now compared to my whole life. The only thing that makes me feel old, I guess, if I had to find something, would be the fact that I have more and more memories every day. And those memories just pile up, and you now have years of experience, which I definitely feel. But I don't feel older physically, and I certainly don't feel older mentally. Someone told me once that you will later feel older physically, but you'll never, ever feel any kind of difference in your brain, that you'll always feel like that person you always were. I could say that I am a lot less interested in things that blew my mind when I was in my 20s or early 30s or whatever, and I'm a lot less hyper about a bunch of stuff. I'm a lot more, lot less excitable now. And I think that comes with life experience, right? Fair enough? You got me? And every time I look back at an old clip of me before my face was really fat, like that, I think I look better as kind of like a scruffy, fat-faced old man compared to like when when my face was a little bony and I had braces in my 20s and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just the subconscious denial that it biologically makes sense to try to live. That's why it's so mind-blowing when someone compromises their own life or does something so dangerous or unhealthy. It's so mind-blowing because it goes against what is biologically natural, and that is the strive to live. But another thing that's even more powerful then the strive to live is the biological drive to procreate. Every species on Earth, of any creature, of any living thing, the species is stronger than the individual members of that species. That is why an extreme majority of all members of every species on Earth tries to procreate. That's just how it goes. I think that's why that's why sex feels like it. Sex is the literal greatest physical sensation you'll ever have. And a lot of people also say that when they have a child, it is the greatest thing of purpose they've ever felt. And that makes a lot of sense biologically, right? Because as we know, the species will carry on even after individual members are chopped out. You can chop down a tree, but the root system that goes several meters in the ground, you can't snuff that out. Trees will pop up forever. And you can mow your yard. You can put weed killer down and you can kill the yard. You can put rocks down and the solar paper or whatever the hell that stuff is. But eventually, it's inevitable that eventually grass will grow up out of that. The roots will push up into that paper and pierce it. And a little tiny blade of grass will pop up in between those rocks, or out in a parking lot where there's concrete everywhere. Grass grows in the cracks. You just can't get rid of the species. You can only get rid of individual members. And my favorite example of the species being more persistent than each member of that species would be the mantis that preys. The praying mantis, which to me is the most fear-striking thing on Earth. I can't even look at one. I will run away. I'm not afraid of much. Like, I'm literally not afraid of snakes. But you get a green insect around? Nah. No, that is from another planet. That is an alien creature from Freaksopolis out in the Petunia cluster of stars. They're so freaky looking. But the praying mantis, the male, will mate to have offspring, knowing that it will cause his death. How many people have kids knowing that it will cause the death of their finances, the death of their hair, it'll turn gray or fall out because of these damn kids? But it's so beyond worth it. I've never heard a parent say anything other than having a child's been the greatest destiny and purpose of my life. That's because we're made that way. It's biological. I myself think that getting married and having kids is the scariest thing I can think of. So like I said, I'm literally not afraid of snakes or whatever, guns or something, but I'm very open about what I am fearful of. I am deathly afraid of heights, like insanely afraid of heights. I'm up on the third floor. I literally, every time my legs feel a little wobbly, and I try not to look around too much when I'm coming up here. The balcony, though, I'm good with that. I hang on, I look, and I'm kind of like used to it, I guess. The fourth, fifth floor or something like that, I could probably not renew my lease in that high of an apartment. That would just make me queasy every time. I always force myself to go up into tall buildings when I'm around one, or up into towers, because I know it's going to freak me all the way out, but it's going to blow my mind that something's that high up and doesn't just fall right over or come crashing down, the weight of it. Like, why does a 2x4 wall hold up several stories? above it? Why does the bottom floor even stay intact? I don't get it. And why do steel beams not just go and bend when 30 or 40 stories are put up on them? I don't understand. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of green insects, grasshoppers, praying mantises, whatever. But what I'm most afraid of is marriage and having kids. Because I've never met someone that is even willing to show the ability to communicate, let alone met someone who I can trust or rely on to properly care for my child or my heart. And that's just me being honest, right? Motherfucker. So this is your birthday message from me. Happy birthday to me. I'm $3.99. I'm not $4 yet, so you can still buy me. It's not too late. Pretty much feels like $4. But I thought I would just share with you some thoughts from the heart on this odd day of reflection. It's storming, or it was. My emotions have been storming. My loneliness rears its ugly head quite often. I have very, very few people in my life that I can call long-term members of my social circle. Very, very few. I can count them on half of one hand. And that doesn't mean because I have one or two or three people, that doesn't mean I have this happy, fulfilling social or love life. It just means I know a couple people that I have for years, and unlike everyone else who has vanished, 100% unwilling to text back just for whatever reason, 100% unwilling to provide a single word of decency or respect, or just the desire on any level to apologize for something so inhumane that was said to me that I just politely stepped aside, because my mother didn't raise me to be a punching bag, and I'm not going to be one. So, but anyways, there are just a couple people that I can even think of that are willing to even know me in any long-term setting, in any long-term way. The only thing, I don't have a child that makes me feel like I'm fulfilling a destiny in any kind of way. The only thing I have is a curiosity. That's the only reason I get up in the morning and do anything, is because I am still, speaking of not feeling older, I'm still the curious little hillbilly Ohio kid, who ate honeysuckle out of the ground and climbed trees and ran around and was obsessed with riding my bike as much as humanly possible. And I'm still that kid who is and was and remains obsessed with creating visual and audio art. But most of all, who I am and always have been is someone who's very curious about what's going to happen. How does this story end? If I were to give up and cause danger to myself, and you know what I'm getting at, then I wouldn't get to see how any of this turns out. I don't know if I'll ever have a family. I don't know if I'll ever have good friends that I can call good, reliable friends that I'm able to be social with. If I don't stick around, I'll never know what ends up happening to Dougaloo Nation. I'll never know what ends up happening with my investments and my retirement life when I am, I want to live. I'm almost afraid to say it because once you say where you're going or you're trying to go, then you get all the questions. Well, when you doing this, when you doing that next step? I don't see myself as the guy who's living in this apartment and making travel vlogs forever. I mean, I'm probably going to be doing that, but not in the sense of coming back here and checking in here. What I'm getting at is I have a much more different vision of my waning years in the future, referring to what I do and where I live. And if I check out, then I'll never get to see if that actually happens. I'm very curious to know what happens with my family. Like, will anyone ever call? Will anyone ever text? Will anyone ever text? Will anyone ever call? Will anyone ever want to know me? You know what I'm saying? And literally the only thing that's keeping me going is the curiosity, because there's that question that's not answered yet. What will ever become of my family? Or what family will I ever get adopted into? What family will I ever create on my own? What friends will I have? What will happen to me as an old man when it comes to other people? I'm very curious about that. So I'm just waiting. And I've been waiting for years. But like I said, people are dying. People are dying in my life that they can't come back now. It's too late. The damage has been done, and not a single word from that person to try to make anything positive happen in the way of moving forward. It's too late for some folks now. And it is a crazy mind fuck on your 39th birthday. But I'm very curious to know what'll happen with Duggalo Nation, what'll happen with family, what'll happen with friends, what'll happen with my investments is a big one that I'm always curious about. If I stay on track, it should be badass. I'm pretty sure this and that and this is going to happen. I'm very curious to watch it unfold. And when the only thing you have that keeps you breathing, that keeps you wanting to get up, when the only thing you have is curiosity, it can be a sad, lonely life. And I'm here to testify to both of those. It is a lonely experience. I feel 100% adrift at sea, hopeless, and I look around and all I see is turbulent water. Some days the water's calm, but I don't see land and have not seen land in a very long time. And a lot of days I feel adrift in a sea of stupidity, as if I'm from another planet waiting to be called back home, because it's lonely down here on the third rock from the sun. Some days, once in a while, I don't feel adrift at sea, but I feel like I am blazing a trail across the sea and making a huge wake in my behind me, making a huge wake behind me because I actually am going somewhere. But 51 out of 100 days, 51% of the time, just a little over, just barely half, more than half, I feel totally adrift. And the only thing that keeps me from popping the inner tube, rather the life raft, inner tube is an old hillbilly phrase for going down a river in a literal inner tube of a tire. Which we did, not ones you bought at Walmart, a river raft. I'm talking about I have literally river rafted on tire inner tubes, and I'm laughing that
was just talking about who I was as a kid, and I still have the old phrases that I use. Well, you distracted me with that. Stop it. The only thing that keeps me from popping the raft, I was saying, is just the curiosity. You'll never know what the tide may bring unless you diligently explore the beach. I want you to think about that today. That is my big closing statement on today's video. Yes, we'll go out and look at the storm again before we say goodbye. I hear thunder and heavier rain now. But this is my birthday video. I'm $3.99 now instead of $3.98 or whatever the fuck it was. What was I? 30. So 38 would have been, I would have been like 380, and now I'm 390. So yeah, we'll go with that. Not quite $4 yet. So I'm still worth it. Put me in your cart. I haven't given up yet. But I thought I would just come on and give you what you deserve, which is something very real. Because today's that day. Today is my 39th birthday. And I'm sorry to say it, but we're not talking about the day you're watching. I'm talking to you from the past on June the 18th, which is my birthday. And what you see is what you get. So on this very, very strange day, on this very strange birthday, in this very, very, very strange year, many deaths recently, late last year and this year, with family and just other people in the outer circle of relatives, former in-laws and steps and halves and all these. There was a round of deaths. And when I was a teenager, or a early adult, I guess you'd say, right around in that area, my great grandma and my dad's great aunt and stuff like this, and a few more people right around that time, and then we were all surviving without them and then this year and late last year, another wave of deaths has happened, and it's freaky. It's freaky as shit because it goes against our biological drive to thrive, basically. So we can carry on the species. It's part of the human experience. And my human experience today has been very weird. This year has been very weird. These last several months have been so weird. This year is so weird in the news. Politically in America, everything got weird. We're just coming off of the weirdest Earth experience while you're on planet Earth. The weirdest thing you'll ever look back on is COVID and how sci-fi that was. And then everything normalizes, but people are still kind of touched about it. And then this year gets super weird again from my life and from the world around me. It's just been a weird ass day. But remember, if you have nothing else, and I can speak from experience, if you have nothing else, and I'm not talking about the people who want me to pretend with them that things are fine. I'm not a liar. I'm not a pretender. I'm not going to pretend. I just need to get over it. There's nothing to get over. The damage is done. I don't need to get over the pile of rubble. I'm looking for someone who's willing to help me rebuild. I'm not upset. I'm just taking a realistic, honest inventory. Getting over is not the thing. I've been walking around it and walking over it my whole life. I'm getting really good at it. I don't want to get this good at it, but I have. I'm looking for someone who might want to help me rebuild. But if you have nothing, please do what I do at least and stay curious about what may happen and be proactive in just being the person you want to be. So whoever you are, the right people will come into your life that match up with you good because they'll match up with who you are naturally. You don't want to fake or force any type of friendships or relationships because that friendship and that relationship is just going to leave you feeling empty. And if you're going to feel alone, then you might as well be alone. I've been next to people and felt lonely, right next to people, in relationships and friendships and work environments and professional environments or whatever. And I've been right next to someone and felt so lonely, and it was a relief to just be alone at that point. If you have nothing and you feel like there's a massive amount of nothingness in your life, please at least stay curious because there's still time. I don't care if you believe your last breath's happening tomorrow. You actually don't know that. So just wait and see, but don't plan for that. Better yourself so whenever the right thing happens, it's happening with who you are naturally, not some version that you're not fully comfortable with. Right? It's getting weird. You know things are getting weird when I start talking serious.
It's raining, it's pouring, and this old man is not snoring, but will be here in a couple hours. Wow. I'm waiting for the thunder off of that one. How come I don't hear anything yet? Kaboom! There it is. Now that was a good shot. I feel better. I feel better about this video now. That was a cool shot to end it out, wasn't it? Of course, I'm going to try to screenshot that and share it with people like, look what I just captured. But much like all this rainwater is about to go down under the roadways, through drain tiles, make its way down to the Ohio River, and all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico. It is time for us also to get the fuck out of here. Friends, family, and strangers. I'm gonna go for now. Thank you very much for listening to me talk to you or ramble at you from the heart on my birthday. Please, if you don't hear anything else from today's video, hear this. Diligently search the beach, because it is a fact that you do not know what the tide will bring. You can't know that. You can feel discouraged and you can feel tired of searching, that's for sure. But you can't stop searching because you don't know what the tide will bring. You know for a fact it's possible at any moment the tide can bring something that you've been hoping for. Or maybe you haven't been hoping for it. Maybe it brings something that just works and you're so thankful you were in the right place to find it. So don't give up. Keep searching the beach because you never know what the tide will bring. You're welcome. Stay sexy. But I gotta go just for now. I'll be back with you again, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Again, tomorrow morning, like always, 7 days a week at 7 a.m. If you want to help me out, share my content, share my website, dougalonation.com. If you want to, what do I normally say? If you want to
contact me directly, then do it. I'm trying to get a website email up and going, but I don't even know if it finalized yet. I paid for it and it didn't work, so I'm working on that. But I'm also reachable by emailing dougalonation@gmail.com. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's sappy, long video from the heart. Happy birthday to me. Thanks for coming to my birthday party today. I'll be with you again tomorrow morning like always. But until then, don't be a douche.